Christmas. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now, don't ask me why, no one quite knows the reason. It could be my head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be, perhaps, that my shoes were too tight. But I think that the most likely reason of all is that my heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his head or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Whos. Staring down from his cave with a sour, Grinchy frown at the warm, lighted windows below in their town, for he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas. It's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinchy fingers nervously drumming, I must find a way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow, he knew, all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early and they'd rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise, the noise. If it's one thing I hate, it's all that noise. And then the Whos, young and old, would sit down to a feast. And they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast. They'd feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was something that I cannot stand in the least. And then they'd do something I like least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and those Whos would start singing. And they'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing. And the more that I thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more that I thought I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? Then I got an idea. An awful idea. I got a wonderfully awful idea. I know just what to do. The Grinch laughed in his throat, and I made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat, and I chuckled and clucked. Oh, what a great Grinchy trick. Why, with this hat and this coat, I look just like St. Nick. All I need is a reindeer. And the Grinch looked around, but since reindeer were scarce, there were none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No, I simply said if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So I called my dog Max, and I took some red thread, and I tied big horns on the top of his head. Then I loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackled sleigh, and I hitched up old Max. Then I said, giddy up! And the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Whos lay a snooze in their town. And their windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air. All the Whos were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, this is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed. And I climbed on the roof, empty bags in my fist. And then I couldn't turn the page because of these gloves. There we are. Then I slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa can do it, then so can the Grinch. I got stuck only once for a moment or two. Then I stuck my head out of the fireplace flue where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, I said, are the first things to go.
Turn around.
Then I slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and I took every present. pop guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn and plums, and I stuffed them in bags. Then I said very nimbly, I stuffed all those bags one by one up the chimney. Then I slunk to the icebox, and I took the Who's feast. I took the Who pudding. I took the roast beast. I cleaned out that icebox, and quick as a flash, why, I even took their last can of Who hash, which is really gross. Then I stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee, and now, grinned me, I will stuff up the tree. And I grabbed at the tree, and I started to shove, when I heard the small sound like a coo of a dove, and I turned around fast, and I saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou who was only 2. I had been caught by this tiny Who daughter, who'd gotten out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at me and said, Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why? But you know, this old Grinch, I'm so smart and so slick that I thought of a lie, and I thought it up quick. Why, my sweet little tot, said the fake Santa Claus. The fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it back to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, and then I'll bring it back here. And the fib fooled the child, and I patted her head, and I got her a drink, and I sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, I went to the chimney, and I stuffed the tree up. And the last thing I took was the log for their fire. Then I went up the chimney myself. I'm an old liar, and there on the walls I left nothing but hooks and some wire. And the one speck of food that I left in the house was a crumb that was too small for even a mouse. Then I did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for those other Who's mouses. It was 1/4 dawn, all the Who's still in bed, all the Who's still a snooze when I packed up my sled. I packed it with their presents, their ribbons and wrappings, their tags and their tinsels, their trimmings and trappings. Look at all that stuff I stole. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, I rode with my load to the tip-top to dump it. Pooh-pooh to the Who's. I was grinishly humming, they're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up, and I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open for a minute or two. Then all the Who's down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo-hoo. That's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. So I paused, hi Max, and I put my hand to my ear. And I did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started down low, then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry. Very. I stared down at Whoville. I popped my eyes. Then I shook. What I saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, were singing without any presents at all. I hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came, somehow or another. It came just the same. And I sat with my Grinchy feet ice cold in the snow. I stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons, and it came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. Then I thought of something. I sat and I puzzled. 3 hours till my puzzle was sore. Then I thought of something that I hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, I thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that my little heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute my heart didn't feel quite so tight, I whizzed with my load through the bright morning light, and I brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And me, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. And now I love Christmas as much as you.
Give him a big round of applause.
Woohoo!
So happy that the Grinch loves Christmas now? Yes, I think so. Now, some of our friends in B1 wanted to say, thank you for visiting.
Oh.
And we all signed it. Let's say thank you, Mr. Grinch.
Thank you, Mr. Grinch.
Thank you.
All sing him a song to thank him for coming.
I know a song we should sing.
Which one?
Happy birthday.
Well, we can do that later.
In a one-horse open sleigh, o'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtails ring.
Making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Hey! Oh my goodness! Give him one more round of applause.
Thank you.
You have a Merry
for
Christmas.
coming. Say
Tell the
everybody,
Grinch,
say
say
bye,
Merry
Mr.
Christmas.
Grinch.
Bye, Merry
Bye,
Christmas. Oh, no, Max, you've lost your horns. No one's going to think you're a reindeer.
Awesome! Was that so fun? Do we love Christmas so much? Yes! And now you can all go
Where
home
did
and tell
he
moms and
came
dads.
from?
He came from his house in Whoville. Awesome. B2 friends, you may stand
What
up
was that?
Thomas.
and line up on the recess.
B2 friends, come